Good evening, everybody. Welcome to eCurious Mind Book Club. We are on chapter 6 of Trevor Mackenzie's book, Inquiry Mindset Assessment Edition. Today's session leaders are Virender and Gayatri. All the best, and I'm sure you're going to rock. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen?
It's loading.
No, just hold on.
It's loading.
Yeah. That's it.
All right.
Okay, let's start.
Yes, Virender.
Once more, very good evening. Today, me and Gayatri will be leading the session, chapter 6, asking the right question. So before I will start with a quote, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something and to learn something new. Thank you. Gayatri, you take over now.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you. Asking questions is the key essential, yet it is often forgotten. Do you agree?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So questions, we all know that it is the key essentials. It provides a path to and for inquiry. It's the key vital for us educators. It sparks curiosity and sharpens critical thinking skills in us, in our students. So now, as educators, in order to engage students meaningfully, what do you think questions should be? So I'm going to share a Mentimeter link with you all.
It will be in the chat box.
It will be in the chat box, yes. Do you have just a second? My Zoom. Bear with me, please.
No problem. Just take your
No
time.
problem.
I'm not sure why I can't open the chat box, Pallavi.
I'm so sorry, but it's already enabled. It's enabled.
Nisha?
Can you read my hi?
Yeah.
Can you share it with Gayatri?
Chat disabled. Ah, now I can see. Now I can see. Yeah.
Lovely.
There is the link now. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you please repeat the question once more for everybody?
Yes, I will. Just a second. Do you see my screen? What screen do you see? I'm so sorry.
So stop and share.
Yes, Virender, if you can share, I think it's giving me some trouble. So you can share and I can continue. Yeah.
Okay, let me see.
So sorry for that.
Okay. Then you stop sharing first.
I
Gayatri?
did.
Now can you see?
Yes, Vinny, we can see.
Okay.
I can't see it yet, but if you all can see, that's fine. All right. Do you see the screen and do you have the link with you all?
Yes, Gayatri.
Yes, we have
Yeah.
the link.
We started. Yeah, we're done.
So the question is, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Let me share my screen. Oh, the sharing of screen is taking some time for me. I don't know why, but yeah, I'll try to share once again because you want to see the result. You can see the result in my screen.
Gayatri, can you share it? I think I have to stop sharing then. Then
Yes,
only.
yes,
Right?
yes.
So I stop sharing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as we know that Trevor has been always encouraging us to co-construct questions with our students, but before we co-construct, Don't you think we should have some questions prepared in advance to guide our students in the right path?
Planning is very, very important. As we teachers, we all know that.
We all know that this new perspective has been given by Trevor to us, that co-construction matters, but even to co-construct, I feel that you should have some plan, right? So anyways, this is the highest, but this also is very important. Questions cannot be spontaneous. That is why it is ranking 4th. And sometimes it also is sometimes dynamic, but we cannot depend on that. Agree?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you see the next question? Is it coming?
No.
You all have been asking about, no?
No.
Okay, Mentimeter.
It says presenter has to move to the next slide.
Okay, now do you see it?
No. Should I do that?
Should I?
Still can't.
Still
I
can't?
think now you will be able to see another questions, that what are some of your question formulation technique. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an open-ended question.
Oh, I think you would have to share the link again.
Again? Okay.
I think so, because this is not the link which is taking us to the next question.
But once I
Taking
go to
us
the
to the
next.
first question only. That's right.
Okay. I'll share it once again then.
Share it for the second question.
Sure,
I've already
I'll
have.
do that. Now check, or it is the first link itself.
It's the first link.
That's the first one.
Holy goodness.
Do you want us to give you answers in the chat box? That's all right. We can do that also. You give us the options and we can give you the answers in the chat box.
I think you can do that. Hai na?
Let's do that. Let's not.
Yeah.
Give
Let's
it
not waste time. Hai na?
Okay. So to join this, I think you can see the code on my screen and you can join Mentimeter for that. Can
Or
you
you know
do
what
that?
you do? Just display the QR code. Could you do that?
There is the meeting code. Pallavi, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is happening like this
That's all
today.
right.
Okay.
No problem, Gayatri. Just
Perfectly fine.
relax. Relax.
Okay, I'll try to share the link once again. Please check.
Okay.
Is it taking you now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's working now.
Okay. All right. So there was this major question asked by Pallavi, and everybody wanted to know that what is this question formulation technique, and some of you wanted to know some strategies as how can we implement this in our classroom. So let's see, what do we already know about question formulation technique? Using the 5 Ws and H strategy to develop and co-construct the question. That's wonderful. That's only one response. Can we have few more responses, please?
As we all know that students who ask questions they are more engaged. So we want everybody to be engaged.
Yeah, but let's see what's our idea of question formulation. What is this? What does it look like? How can we implement it? What do we already know about it? Can we do it? Wow, amazing. Using key concept, related concept. Wonderful. What is QFT? That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ask as many questions as you can, then sort out the questions. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Through prior knowledge from the students, asking students to frame questions. Amazing, amazing. I don't know, my screen is getting frozen today. I don't know if there is a particular reason for that. Yeah.
Prior knowledge from the students, asking steps. Very nice.
That's wonderful. Why can't I scroll it?
It's okay. You can download the results.
Yeah, I can download results. So let's quickly do that, and I'll stop sharing it for now. So yes, many of you said that, yes, it all depends upon the prior knowledge. Ask as many questions, use the strategy 5 Ws and 1 H. ask as many questions as you can. That is one of the key, right? This is the first step for question formulation technique, that you should ask as many questions as you can. I'd like to show you something which will give you a small gist of what is this question formulation technique. I'll quickly share and then we will move on. My Zoom, you know, I don't use Zoom so much, so I think I'm very bad with it.
We all have struggled. Don't worry.
No, I don't use Zoom nowadays, you know, so I've
We
got
can't
more
see your
used to
screen
Teams.
also.
Do you want Virender to share?
Should I share? Huh? You stop sharing, then I can share. Is it okay? Gayatri?
Yeah, Virender, just a small thing. I just got it last minute.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, do you see my
No.
screen right now?
Yes.
So if we are not familiar about what is question formulation technique, so this is how it works. This is the rule. First, we focus question, produce
It will
your
be
question.
clear.
Yeah, it is this is the strategy that if you want to actually apply question formulation technique, this is the rule how you follow it to improve your question, to share, discuss, and to reflect on your questions. You can change a statement to questions. It can be changed from a close-ended to open-ended question, depending upon the objective that we are trying to achieve. Yeah, and it also says that record exactly as stated, change statements into questions. So there's a few points. We can share this thing with you later. Yeah, just to give you an idea of what is formulation, question formulation technique. Virender, you can share now.
Okay. Just hold on.
So moving forward, we will be breaking into
You
channels.
stop
Yeah, I did.
Have you stopped sharing? Okay.
I did.
Okay. Now let's. Can you all see? See? Can you all see?
Yes.
Yes, Virender, we can see.
Okay. Now the guiding questions for inquiry teachers, you know, guiding question, the secret sauce. We all know that by Trevor McKenzie. It is very, very helpful while planning as a teacher. We keep these questions in mind. Students' interest, their identity, the areas where to work and what challenge, what strategies to be given so they can reflect their learning, how much we can stretch, you know, give time, space, and we set their goals, create passion in them, and spark curiosity. So while planning, we keep planning our engagement. We have to keep looking or whether our engagement are significant, relevant, engaging, and challenging. So let's come to the next slide. What makes you say that? Okay. What makes you say that? We'll be dividing you in groups, small groups, and in your breakout rooms, we'll see how you can bring your thinking alive collaboratively and visible using this technique. Okay. What makes you say that? Okay. So now we request, okay, I can share. These are the questions.
Yeah.
What are the characteristics of essential questions asked during inquiry? How can we cater to learners' passion and hobbies through inquiry? How do we create opportunities for all students to contribute their perspective and insight during inquiry? I'm not going to read all because that will take a lot of time. So Pallavi, if you can just break into 6 rooms, you know.
Sure. I hope the task is clear to everyone. Yeah. So we have to keep in mind that we are using the strategy called what makes you say that. So you have to break down these questions into how it looks like into your classroom if you have to apply this.
All right.
And we'll be giving you 15 minutes.
Yes, miss. Yeah, that's fine. 15 minutes. We will come back and then you'll be given 1.5 minutes to share your thoughts.
So where will they be putting their?
I will share the link in the chat. Yeah, I'll share the link.
Is it a Padlet or is it a slide?
It's a link. It's a link. It's a link. I'll share it.
Okay, these are the slides that you're going to be sharing. Okay. One more thing, when we break out into the breakout rooms, please be mindful to give time and space to collaborate. Please make sure that your colleagues are also speaking. You are not the only one who's speaking. Just be mindful of that. I'm going to break you out all into 6 rooms. Okay.
Okay, before that, can you please see, check your chat and have you got the link and can you edit it? Just see that.
Okay. Everybody, please check. If you cannot, then we'll make amendments right away.
Yeah.
Gayatri, the task is to how we do this in our classroom, right?
Right. So you can collaborate, you can brainstorm, and you can, jot down ideas that if you have to describe the characteristics of essential question, what do you think it is? So, and keep in mind the strategy, what makes you say that? So you have to also justify your statement.
It's editable, the Google Doc. So
Yes,
as per the room number of the breakout,
we can.
will use that slide, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sonia.
Link is
I'm opening up the rooms.
Yes, please, Pallavi, do it.
Please
Yeah.
join in.
We can also join the room.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Copy of this because everybody will be writing?
No, I think it's over room number 1. Only we are editing. So one of us
Yes.
can just edit.
Then it's perfect. Okay.
So
Only you
I'm
can
sharing the
Any
screen.
one of us can do it.
Yeah. So I'm sharing the screen and we can
Okay.
discuss and have each one's input. Yes. So what are the characteristics that we would like to?
Open-ended questions.
Be open-ended. It should be ungoogleable.
Provocative
others
in
also.
nature.
Sorry.
Provocative in nature.
Yes, provocative in nature.
Debatable.
Basically
factual.
leading to inquiry, which I mean, so basically I would look for a characteristic where a child has to do deeper thinking. It's not something that, okay, fine, a teacher has asked a question and child comes up with an answer. It should be leading a teacher to more questions to get the child to think more about it. I hope I'm
So
clear.
open-ended would require that it's
Open-ended
a
is ungoogleable.
Yeah, open-ended.
a question. Yeah, ungoogleable.
I think the question that drives curiosity and which sparks curiosity, I'd like to say.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so scaffolding is what I'm trying to say basically.
Okay. Very important is creating a non-threatening environment.
Constantly saying that there are no wrongs.
Yeah.
I would like to reword it by saying every question is a good question.
Even better.
Also, the provocations have to be interesting. Only then will you get good questions. And we have to model. Absolutely. We have to model by asking those questions.
Once.
That interest. Self-discovery. I mean, you have to lead. So we could start with a water game, like in the primary years. I'm talking essentially of grade 1, 2, and 3. So, and then build on to it.
Yeah. And as you're saying, suppose we're giving the example of water, then we should also ask the learners that what do they want to know about this concept? What exactly do they want to know? Yeah.
It could also entail that, you know, a form question, what does it look like? Because there are 3 states of water. We couldn't, you know, jump to 3 states of water. We could say, how does it look like? Does it have any form? And, you know, continuously lead on to the answers themselves. Have you seen it?
Also, I think we should reward the curiosity. So this motivates them.
Yeah.
Asking questions.
So the noisy classroom indicates the fact that people, that the students are completely involved in it.
Right. And also a culture of asking questions is that when they have achieved success, so able to understand.
If we ask children, if we give them this opportunity to ask that, what would you like to learn?
So co-constructing. So co-constructing the learning objectives, can we say? Co-constructing the learning objectives and the methods. So what do you want to learn? How do you want to learn?
Exactly.
A better word, Sonia. Learning intention.
Sorry, Purti?
Learning intentions. Thank you, Purti. Yeah, I think that's a very good word. Learning intentions.
May I add something else over here, please?
Yes, miss. Yes.
So it's been this I'm speaking from experience that I have noticed it over the years that children come up with very good questions, insightful, deep questions, only when they have some basic knowledge about something. Otherwise, those questions just remain about form and function. What is it? What is its definition? What does this mean? How does it work? So the form and function questions come first, but then the more they dive into the unit, or whatever it is that they're inquiring into, it is at that point your responsibility, perspective, and those kind of deeper questions come in a little later.
Dr. Swati, can we connect this with also, the types of questions? So as their understanding deepens, so that means moving from factual to conceptual and debatable questions. So the factual questions will be more like you're saying, form and function, whereas a conceptual one.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically having units of inquiry designed in a way that, brings in their passion and their interest areas.
Yeah, and also at the end of last year when the pandemic hit, IB had come out with this passion project unit where you did not have to do your planned unit of inquiry and you could allow students to, do their own passion. So we did try that and it was really, it turned out really well, and that is something we are planning to continue where, students design their own inquiry. It's like the exhibition, but obviously at their grade level.
Okay.
Like the inspiration time, the I time, or the genius hour that we call
the entire unit. So they do it entirely for 6 weeks. Okay. It's not like once a week or it's not like once a month. The entire unit is their passion or unit. So whatever the child wants to inquire into, he or she inquires into, and we have like a different kind of a planner for it. So for the younger ones, we have more of a visual planner, and for the older ones, it's obviously more textual. So that's how we kind of bring in the passion projects into it. So for 6 weeks, that's what they do.
These are tools, okay.
Yeah. Even I feel that it's a tool that we are using to incorporate thinking in them.
But we can, using this tool, we can involve students in the co-construction process. That's what she mentioned.
Could you please share your screen? Yeah, that's what I'm trying. That's what.
Yeah.
Yes. How do I create space in the curriculum for students to co-design and co-construct? So that is the whole question over here. We can also add the point which Ms. Nahida was, telling us how we can, involve our learners in designing the learning engagements, and we give them a voice choice and the ownership, right? So I think this point.
Boiling down the central idea and the lines of inquiry, what do they want to learn under each line of inquiry, what questions they want to explore, that chances also can be given. And
so
in
that's
that,
why, Archana, that's why I was saying that if we use the de Bono's hat, so that is one way where they can use the different hats to put in different questions to explore that particular the unit. That's what I was saying, because de Bono's hat, you know, in this in our book, no, that is there of Cat Madoc, there's one thing I'm sure you'll know about, you know, the questions part that was there. It was very beautifully mentioned that how we try to have students question and then how they learn through that. So I felt that de Bono's hat was a great way, like how we use solo taxonomy. Similarly, de Bono's hat, using those different hats, like the white hat, yellow hat. So let's say if it's the white hat, you're going to be talking, let's say if you're talking about the main causes of animals which are endangered. So it is question about facts. So children will ask questions related all about facts. So depending on your unit of inquiry, if they use the de Bono's hat.
So, Archana, I think somewhere we can also write thinking tools or thinking dispositions. Use of these can help children to co-construct and co-design their inquiry in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay. Thinking tools.
And thinking tools. Co-design their engagements, their inquiries.
Yes. I think we need to.
Breakout room.
Yeah. I think this much is enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this should be good.
Enough?
Oh, 33 seconds.
31.
So how was it? We are back.
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
Yes. Very interactive, collaborative.
Very engaging conversation. Very nice.
I must say, yes, the kind of, you know, the ideas that come out of it's mind blowing. And we had the pleasure to have Dr. Swati with us, and she is like, yes, she's there. Vinny, can you share the screen once again? I don't want to take the risk. Hands up. Where is Pallavi?
Virendra?
Pallavi is there.
Ji, we are here. Yes, we are here.
She's here. Please share the screen.
Yeah.
Virendra, please share the screen. You have to unmute yourself.
Virendra, should I do it? I think it's happening for me now.
Acha, do it, please.
Huh.
Okay.
Vinny, can you see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. We can start from room 1.
Yeah. So you have 1.5 minutes, 30 seconds of grace, because, you know, we will know then we have to wrap up, and we have Pallavi with us to keep time.
My God. Wow.
Some very beautiful ideas came, and you have actually broken it down into, you know, what do I say, into pieces to follow and to guide us. Yeah. So let's start with room number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Pallavi, you are on mute.
Sorry, how much time do you want to give them?
1.5 minutes, 30 seconds of grace, you know, because so that.
All right.
You just remind everyone when it's 1.5, and then they should wrap up within a few seconds more.
We can give 2 minutes also. It's 5:30.
Okay.
Okay then.
Let's start.
All right. So in room number 1, we had the question, what are the characteristics of essential questions asked during inquiry? And what we have discussed and agreed upon is that open-ended questions or being provocative in nature, ungoogleable questions, guiding questions which leads to clarifications, the strategies like QFT or developing learners' interest or guiding towards their personal inquiry, and also learning spaces which helps to build curiosity. These help in one way or the other to provoke questions and co-constructed in the classroom. So this is each of them has been given a meaning. So it's like open-ended questions. It leads to deeper thinking because then they will have a question follow-up. One child will say something, the other will have to follow up with the idea, or they may have some other curiosity which comes up. Okay, he said this, let me question this then. Being provocative in nature will drive the unit of inquiry. Ungoogleable questions will build on conceptual understanding and develop their thinking skills. Guiding questions will lead to clarifying misconceptions and build on students' prior knowledge. Learners' interest will develop curiosity and their wonderings about the unit. Guiding them towards their personal inquiry will also show us that what is their interest, and that will help to build up on more questions from them and co-construct it. And then maybe then they can take it up independently as well. Learning spaces is very important. It helps to build curiosity. That's it from us.
Thank you.
Very
It's
good.
less than 2 minutes.
How wonderful. How wonderful. I think this part, guiding towards personal inquiry, as in, I'm sorry. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. Who did that?
Let's go to breakout room number 2.
Yeah, Vinny, just a second. We had a question in the chat last time when we asked that if you have questions. It's like how, was it Sonia or was it,
Sonia.
I don't remember.
And QFT question?
QFT was asked by Pallavi. Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody had asked like, how do we build trust and scaffold, right? So this is, I think, when we do personal inquiry, when we interact, when we give the learner the space, I think this is where we can scaffold, right? Yeah, we can move on. Yes, Vinny.
Sure. You're sharing, Gayatri? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we foster a culture of asking questions in the class? Wow.
Yeah, who's
doing it?
Group number 2. Number 2, who wants to do it?
These are some very beautiful, very good points. My God.
Let me see.
The first one, every question is good question. Safe, secure, trust. Who's doing it for room number 2?
Jyoti, Jayashree, Komal, Chandrai, Nasreen. Chandrai, do you want to do
Jayashree, do it. Jayashree, chalo.
Okay.
Jayashree?
Yeah, okay. To foster a culture of asking questions in the class, what I believe is, firstly, leaving them open in the field, like allow them to ask whatever they want. And once they ask their first level of questions, then give them right scaffolding to direct them through the concept into the inquiry way. The next one is every question is a good question, like making them feel no question is a bad question or nothing is wrong. Maybe if they ask too closed-ended, then we guide them towards how to ask open-ended question. Maybe provide them appropriate question stems. And then the initial provocation that we take to the class is very important. There itself, either we gain the kids or we lose them. So it should be in such a way that it hits their brains. It creates the dissonance in them, and it makes them ask the questions. It makes them think. And of course, modeling the questions, the typical teacher way, modeling the questions, and then allowing them to make a little noise, like a little bit of flexibility and freedom that allows them to think better and collaborate better and ask better questions. And of course, encouraging them to ask questions that Google is not going to provide you an answer at the first shot. Like it has to go through a series of steps. And lastly, helping them understand what a conceptual question is and what a debatable question is, and how that is going to lead them into real inquiry, and hence get a strong understanding of the concept itself than a yes or no question. And lastly, what makes us say this? Simply because we believe these are ones that are going to lead us into developing independent life.
Wonderful, wonderful, amazing, amazing. This is what is the culture of, asking questions should look like in the classroom. Amazing, team 2. Beautiful. Yeah, shall we move on?
Yes.
Group number 3.
Seema, would you like to do it?
I'll do it. Okay. Okay. So we have to cover how do we spark curiosity and interest in the concept through exploring and discovery in inquiry. So what is most important, what we all thought as a team is that we have to take the interest of the students into consideration. They should be that is the first thing which we thought of. Then we came to passion. Again, the passion of the students is also equally important to bring in that, that wonder element in the class. And we, Sonam was talking about what she did in the class. We had a discussion on that when she did the water cycle. So again, we also have to ask them, suppose we are bringing in something like water, what we should ask the learners, what do they want to know about that particular concept? Is there anything particular they want to know about? Again, we're coming to passions and their hobbies. Now, very important is based on their prior knowledge. Again, this is again the KWL, another VTR, which most of us do follow. Through games, visible thinking, pictures, artifacts, videos. Videos also bring in a lot of curiosity, and even showing them a simple picture also makes them think. It enhances their thinking skills and brings up a lot of curiosity. And these videos also help them to make connections to real life. Then when keeping a journal is also very important, and this is where we connect them. We help the learners to connect to different subjects, like how science can be connected to English, or how it can be connected to any other subject which we can feel we can connect them to. Then we have to also take into consideration the different types of learners in terms of is a visible learner, or is sometimes children express themselves differently. Some like to write, some like to act, some maybe like to just paint. So we have to take that into consideration when we're talking about bringing in curiosity in the classroom. And we also have to kind of, hook certain questions. That really helps in bringing I think, a spark or wonder in the classroom. And of course, which all of us, I think all of us are following our various VTRs. So this is just try to bring in, a kind of curiosity and interest through this learning. This is what we decided as a team.
Wow, that's wonderful, Seema. You have covered all the aspects. And, I typically feel that this curiosity thing, I was reading some article over the internet, and this teacher, what she does is every day she gets something with her and she just keeps it on her table. And children, they always wonder, what is this? So they're so curious to know. A small thing like a stone can become a point of inquiry. So it's brilliant.
But also,
brilliant.
I also think even, we should at times give them a choice about what is their passion related to that concept. That's very important. Give them that choice. Yes.
I so much agree. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Team 3.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. Team 4.
We had to reflect on how do we create opportunities for all students to contribute their perspectives and insights during an inquiry. So first of all, the thought was that in order to enable students to contribute their perspectives and speak up, we need to create a positive culture in the classroom, a culture where there is no right, no wrong. Okay, we are all open, non-judgmental, and they feel safe for sharing their thoughts. For that, we could do frame essential agreements, maybe at the beginning of a session, or maybe at the beginning of the year, or maybe beginning of a unit. Then we would go on to co-constructing the learning intentions with the learners, so that we know about their passions, their likes. So co-constructing the learning intentions, what they want to learn, how they want to learn, and the progression of the understanding happens from factual to conceptual. So initially, when they start framing questions, maybe most of the questions are related to form and function, but with a deeper understanding of the concept, using certain strategies, when we tell them to think a little deeper, then they will come up with questions which are related to responsibility, perspective, and connection. Also for all the learners to participate, share their insights. What Trevor said, start with small groups. So it could be think, pair, and share, or using try it, so that everyone gets a chance to share their understanding, and then moving into larger groups. Also give time for preparation. So once a question is posted, you may have some learners immediately putting their hands, but tell them to take a minute to think. So even the learners who are a little bit slow get time, and then they can contribute. And use a variety of tools to share, because as we know, as we spoke about multiple intelligence, not all learners want to share it in a written format. So keep the task open-ended, and let them give them a variety of tools, either in a written way, in a written format, or through drawing, or through enacting, and give them a variety of opportunities to share their understanding.
Wow,
so
great.
That was from breakout
Very
room
nice.
4.
Absolutely, group 4, wonderful job. I think to create a culture, give them responsibilities, give them ownership, then you can see the result.
Absolutely, wonderful. Let's move forward.
In our breakout rooms, we had to speak about how can we cater to learners' passions and hobbies. How can we really spark, give them an opportunity to follow their passions. So we came up with these couple of ideas. Of course, the Genius Hour, which I'm sure most of us know. We even call it the golden time, some of us. So exhibition, of course, is a classic example of how we give students an opportunity to explore their passions. Asking students what their passion is. While we're provoking a unit, we usually, during the tuning in phase, we ask students what is it that, they are really curious about the particular topic. That is one way where you can really spark curiosity, and find out what part of the topic is really there, which has, caught their attention, and we could use that in our inquiry. Inviting experts in different subjects or occupations. So Nadia had shared about this, where in their school they had a day where they had set up different centers, and they had invited different specialist experts from different groups. One could be from sports or art, or different fields, and students were, as per their life, students were allowed to visit those rooms and have an interaction with those experts. Wow. Kane's Arcade and Jonathan the Seagull, these are some ways that you can, spark inquiry into passions project. So Jonathan the Seagull is like a book which talks about how a, boy wants to explore his curiosity. So these kind of books can also be used to spark an inquiry into passion projects. So we were also talking about how the program of inquiry can have units of inquiry which are open-ended, which allow students to explore their passions. For example, under how we express ourselves, we can have a unit on art, which is open-ended, and students can follow their passions, or whether they are, passionate towards music or dance or, art, whatever, visual arts, and accordingly they could, use those 6 weeks to follow their passion and inquire into the subject that really excites them.
Sorry,
so
we are
we
exceeding time.
Is it? We were
Yeah.
okay giving students learner agency choice. So like Seema was mentioning that, you know, you allow students to have a choice about how they want to present. That's another way to actually giving them an opportunity to express their passion, because when I'm passionate about something, I will use that really well in my presentations. Celebrations of international days, math week, science day, those also allow children to think about what they want to do and how they want to do it. So that's about it we discussed.
Wonderful, wonderful. Many aspects covered, and yes, very well reiterated. Thank you so much. Group 5. Let's move on
to group 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I say?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. So the question goes, how do we create space in the curriculum for students to co-design and co-construct? First of all, giving them the opportunity to express what do they want to learn, how do they want to learn, and why do they want to learn. That is, which is very much important. Taking that into consideration, we also give them, we can give them opportunity to reflect using self and peer reflections, okay, and assessment, setting goals and co-constructing success criteria with them. Revisiting Wonderwall to check whether each and every question has been tapped. If left, then collaboratively they can help each other to get the answer about their wonderings. Solo taxonomy can also help them to frame good questions, okay, and digital portfolio, passion projects, or genius hours. All these can give them opportunity to explore, co-construct, and take the ownership, choice, and voice in the curriculum. Okay. So we also discuss that exploring each and every line of inquiry using different question strategies. What do they want to wish to find out as an inquiry under different lines of inquiry, taking into consideration the concepts, the central idea, also using different questioning strategies like 6 thinking hats, question matrix. All this can help them and give them the voice in the curriculum, okay, to make the choice. Also thinking tools to help them the co-design the engagements. So that's what we discussed in the group about how can we give them the space in our curriculum.
Just add to what Archana said, I was in the same room. So in the physical setup, we used to do something like parking lot. We used to stick that in our inquiry boards, and learners used to come and post their wondering. So as in when they're progressing through the unit, we used to address those questions, and they used to, some of them were so passionate about it that they used to, self-initiate the actions or self-initiate. They used to find out the answers to their questions, on their own. So that agency, it creates a lot of space to co-design and co-construct through that activity as well.
That helps a lot. I so much agree, and that is so much missing in the virtual setup, right? I so much agree. And I like the way how you have emphasized not on the what of the learning, but the how of the learning, right? That is the most important aspect that we forget most of the time. We are so much, okay, what to do, but nobody's asking how to do, right? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we come to the end. Wonderful. But now you all have to give me a 5. Give me a 5, but this is another kind of a 5. Now, in a nutshell, you have to tell us what are the 5 big learnings. Yes, and I think
the essence of your learning. Now we
5
want
big
to say
things.
the essence, 5 essence of your learning.
Okay.
5 takeaway, right?
Yes.
So they can write in this only, Gayatri, right?
Yes, I think they can write it. You have the link with you. You can write it there. If you want me to write it, I can do that. We can discuss the big 5 learnings and then we can put it. We still have time, right?
Whoever wants to speak.
Yes, for a change we have time.
Oh.
So do you want to open up the forum for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so
Instead of
everybody
writing,
please start
we can
to share.
discuss. Yeah.
Raise your hand, use the virtual hand. What are your takeaways?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should I share?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please, Archana. Yes, please.
Archana, yes.
My big takeaway after this session is to keep in mind actually who is doing the inquiry. Is it the teacher who will design and set everything for the students, or it is the student itself? So going hand in hand, I mean like a railway track, one side the teacher and the students, and in between all the engagements, we both will reach to the destination. That's what I got out of the session.
Krishna, thank you, Archana. Krishna?
My big takeaway is actually two: table of intrigue. That's something that even if you are in the virtual system, we can still think of ways that we can have not table of intrigue, then maybe whiteboard of intrigue where we can spark curiosity. That's one. And second is that yes, it's so important that we co-construct it, the questions with the children, and we walk with them hand in hand. So yeah.
Oh, very nice. Oh, great.
Can I share? I have written a brief synopsis of the chapter and my understanding of the chapter. So first one is asking the right questions. Then your questions drive the inquiry and provide a path to spark the curiosity and sharpen your students' critical thinking. Number two is use questions to frame your inquiry, because your questions are only driving the inquiry. Third is construct ungoogleable questions together, co-construct with your learners. Fourth is there should be the questions that you are creating should be very engaging, challenging, significant, so that the learners are involved all the time and they take the ownership of the inquiry which is happening in the class. Fourth one is it should be authentic and conceptual, so that it gives wider scope for inquiry to happen. Then make your questions visible in the classroom so that they revisit the questions all the time when the inquiry progresses. The last one is, and the cherry on the cake is, guiding questions are your secret sauce. So that's the brief synopsis of the chapter that I understood.
Wow, that's amazing. Nahida, beautiful. You have actually given a sum up in a nutshell. That's wonderful. Any other two people? Yeah, yes, please.
I wanted to share from the breakout room. So, coming to work, someone was also talking about from factual to conceptual to debatable questions. So I think Dr. Swati put it very, very nicely in our breakout room, and I wanted to share it with everyone when we talk about the key concepts. So questions, which are the factual ones, are normally the ones which relate to the key concept of form and function. But she talked about, the pyramid, the key concepts being in a form of a pyramid, where you move in a way, the form and function are the easier ones, so to say. Whereas when you move to connection or perspective or responsibility, that goes to deeper level of thinking. And the fact that if you focus on responsibility, perspective, change, connection on these key concepts, they automatically include form and function, because you cannot express your responsibility on something, you cannot express a perspective unless you understand the features of something and how it works. So that was one learning for me today, that the how do you say, maybe the hierarchy of the key concepts or something, that and how it relates to factual and conceptual questions.
Wow, Sonia, I love the way you explained. Very good.
Sorry,
we have more time. We have 5 minutes more.
Yes.
Yeah. What I understood from today's session is child is the curriculum. So we need to cater to the child. We should not cater to the curriculum. So finally, the center of attraction is the child. So designing the curriculum around it.
Right. Seema?
That is like the perfect end. I'm going to show you
I think most of us have covered a lot of things. So I'll just add one more thing, which I feel is very important, is that we should also give space to the learners to reflect on their learning. That is there anything, for example, after we finish a lesson, generally we forget about the reflection. We feel that, but reflection of their learnings, or is there anything which they, maybe based on their prior knowledge, is after the whole lesson is over, is there any other questions which are still in their mind? That is also something which should not only be brought about, but there should be a separate session where these questions after the learning should also be answered. The questions should also be answered in the end. That is very important. It's not only about the questions, but the answers to the questions also.
Absolutely. Follow up and follow up and follow up. That's like never ending. And this is how the grid looks like. This is the big 5 takeaways from our session today. Well done, guys. And look at that, how beautiful it has ended. Finally, who is the center? It is the child who is the center of learning. And see how we started. We have to think who is doing the inquiry, the teacher or the student. Beautiful. It's a complete cycle that we have completed today. Well done. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pallavi, may I just add?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
One thing. So I just came across when I was watching this video on QFT. There's a book, Make Just One Change. Okay, that is all about teach students to ask their own questions. So if anyone is interested, it is I think available on as an e-copy on Z
Put it in the
Library.
group.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashwin.
Please
Sharing
share in the
that.
WhatsApp group for sharing.
Put it on the chat here on our WhatsApp.
On behalf of everybody, I would really like to thank Gayatri and Virender for conducting this beautiful session and giving us the understanding of chapter 6. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of you.
I would also like to ask who would like to take the next session.
No, it's already there now, Pallavi, chapter